Hello and welcome back to Mama Magma Yoga. My name is Tamu and I'm here with week 2 of our exploration into forward fold. So this week we're exploring seated forward fold or paschimottanasana. So this may seem like another asana that is easy to access, but a lot of us have lower back issues, tight lower back, tight hamstrings. We're gently working our way into these poses. So I want to give you some tools and some alternative ways of accessing the pose so that you can slowly and gently make your way into being proficient and strong and healthy and graceful within these postures. So today I invite you to bring along a block or a book in case you might need it, a blanket or a towel to lift the hips up on, and a strap or a belt of some kind. So robe belt, regular belt, piece of string. You get the idea. So without further ado, let's roll out our mat, use our towel, use our carpet, whatever we're practicing on, and let's hop to it, shall we? I'll meet you there. Hello and welcome. Let's hop right in, shall we? So you'll see that I have brought along a blanket for myself to lift my hips upon. This isn't necessary, but it might help you to access the pose a little bit easier, have more grace and more ease and more strength in it. So definitely utilize a blanket or a towel if you'd like to. It also is just another way to provide yourself with a bit of self-care. Why not, right? So let's find our seat. Sit up nice and tall. We're stretching the legs out in front of us. So we're sitting up nice and tall. Let's first find our dandasana. Find the base of this pose, which is legs stretched out long before us. We're grounding the thighs down into the earth, and we're lifting the toes up towards the heavens. So the legs are nice and active. We're finding a nice length from the crown all the way to the tail. So we're finding that staff or that danda through the spine. Let's bring the palms to the thighs here and allow the shoulders to relax away from the ears. So here's our base pose. We're sitting up nice and tall. We're also hugging the navel to the spine and once again finding that mula bandha, that lift from the pelvic floor. Beautiful. See if you can lengthen up through the crown. Maybe rock the head side to side. Just finding this base pose first. So we're going to go into the easy version of this pose right off the bat. So let's bring our belt or our strap into play. If you know that you're someone that can't come all the way forward, what you're going to do is wrap the strap around your feet. Maybe allow the knees to stay nice and bent. Maybe we allow them to stretch out long. And we're just going to play here with pulling the torso forward, using the feet as resistance. And maybe we're not coming forward very much at all. We're keeping it nice and long through the spine and not allowing the lower back to curve too much. We're not coming into here because then we're just putting strain on the back and we're not actually stretching through the hamstrings. So sit up nice and tall, strap around the feet, allow yourself to pull against that strap and then see what it feels like to lift up nice and tall through the crown and gently pull the torso forward while keeping the back nice and straight. So maybe this is your version, and this is where you start off at if you know that your lower back is really tight or your hamstrings are really tight. So this is bus stop number 1. Bus stop number 2, we release the strap. We send the fingertips up towards the heavens, bend the knees, and allow the torso to drape over the thighs, keeping that nice pelvic floor lock, that mula bandha, and perhaps the palms come to the feet. Maybe they come to the shins. Maybe you're here. Maybe they come to the floor. Beautiful. We're inhaling to look forward. Knees are nice and bent, still finding that length through the crown. And we're exhaling to bow the forehead toward the knees. So maybe you don't come down very far. Maybe you keep the knees nice and bent, and this is what your forward fold looks like. Beautiful. This is amazing and awesome. You're still getting some beautiful benefits of the stretch through the back of the hamstrings. Breathing nice and deep. Maybe if it's in your practice, you straighten through the backs of the knees and find a little bit more of a forward fold. So we're keeping the back nice and straight here. So that's one of the things that we want to look for. We don't want to be putting strain on the back by rounding through it too much. We want to be able to pull the torso forward. That's why it's important to lift from the pelvic floor and pull back with the hip creases, just as we did in the standing forward fold. Keeping the crown nice and long. Breathing nice and deep here. Maybe finding your own private little love cave. Beautiful. Now, it's not in my practice, but you might be to the point where you can bring a block down to your feet and reach all the way past. Oh, look at that. I can grab it. I didn't think I would be able to. And find a little bit more of a stretch here. Maybe you're there. Keeping the back nice and long. Breathing nice and deep. Now, if that doesn't work for you and doesn't appeal to you, you can also take your peace fingers and grab onto the big toe and then just use that as resistance, sort of flexing through the arms, finding some resistance there instead of grabbing onto the feet. So remember, it's your body and you're listening really deeply, so be where you're at today. All of these versions give you the benefits of the stretch through the hamstrings and the stretch through the lower back. We're just being kind to ourselves about where we're at. So maybe our forward fold looks like this, maybe it looks like this, but we're keeping that lower back nice and straight and lengthening through the crown and just finding that beautiful ease into it. Wonderful. For a counter pose to stretch through the back, you can bring the palms behind you, bend the knees, lift the hips, just find a little bit of a reverse tabletop, and then lower the hips down. So I hope that this tutorial has helped give you some options with your forward fold, your seated forward fold, and that allows you to approach it with more grace and more ease, whether or not you're practicing at home or in a class. So if you're in a classroom setting, I really encourage you to make sure you've got the props that you need and to find empowerment in using them, even if no one else in the class is. So bring along your strap. Make sure you've got a towel or a blanket with you. Lift your hips up if you need to and use the strap. Don't torque or force yourself into the pose just because everyone else seems to be able to do it better than you can. Always remember, everyone started off with not being able to do the pose and having to work their way into it. So thank you once again for joining me today. It's been lovely to practice with you. I can't wait to see you next week. Until then, my friend, namaste.